Let's start with something that feels quietly unfair, even if nobody talks about it out loud. You work hard, you hustle, you pay your bills on time, you avoid overspending, you're careful, you do everything right. And yet, somehow, it feels like money just slips through your fingers faster than it should. You buy groceries, you fill up gas, you pay rent, and by the end of the week, there's almost nothing left. You wonder, where did it all go? Why does it feel like some people can stretch a dollar for weeks while you're struggling to make it to payday? That feeling? Yeah, it's real. It's the invisible tax. Not a law, not a government form, not something you see on your pay stub, but it's there. Every transaction, every fee, every small inefficiency quietly drains money from people who are already earning less. And for those living paycheck to paycheck, that drain isn't minor, it's catastrophic. Think about it like this. You go to the store and buy groceries with your debit card. Your bank hits you with a small transaction fee. You need cash, you hit an ATM and boom, $3 fee. Maybe more if it's out of network. Got to pay a late bill? $25. Can't cover the full balance on a utility? Another fee. Need short-term credit? Payday loans, title loans, even rent-to-own stores hit you with insane interest rates that make small purchases explode in cost. Each one of these invisible taxes is tiny by itself, but they stack, they compound, and over time, they quietly drain hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars a year. Now, let's move to the whiteboard. Picture two people. Person A has a cushion, knows how to avoid extra fees, can plan ahead. Person B doesn't. Person B pays more for the same groceries, more for the same utilities, more for the same emergency. The math? It's simple. Small extra costs, repeated hundreds of times a year, add up to a massive financial disadvantage. This isn't luck, it's structural. The system is literally designed so that the poor, or anyone living on tight margins, pays more for the same access, the same services, the same products. Here's where it hits emotionally. You feel trapped, powerless. You know you're working hard, doing everything right, but the rules themselves, they're stacked. The invisible tax punishes people for having less, punishes people who can't front cash, punishes people who can't take weeks off work to hunt for better deals or compare every utility option. And because these costs are scattered across dozens of tiny interactions, they rarely get noticed. But over time, they create a gap that keeps people from saving, investing, or building wealth. Zoom out. It's not personal, it's structural. Banks, lenders, utility companies, service providers, they all design fees and schedules assuming you already have a buffer. If you don't, every small transaction turns into a hidden cost. And for people without flexibility, that hidden cost is huge. It's the invisible tax. It's why two people with the same income can have completely different outcomes just because of timing, access, or small fees piling up. So, what's the exit strategy? Step 1, awareness. Notice every fee, every penalty, every inefficiency. Track it. Step 2, margin. Protect your cash flow. Even a small buffer reduces exposure to these invisible taxes. Step 3, alternatives. Find lower-fee banks, credit unions, or community services. Avoid rent-to-own schemes or high-interest payday loans. Step 4, plan for emergencies. The fewer times you need to borrow under pressure, the less the invisible tax eats into your income. And finally, think long-term. Small, consistent steps, building a buffer, choosing lower-cost options, avoiding unnecessary fees, they compound into real financial relief over months and years. Here's the truth. The invisible tax, it isn't magic, it isn't fair, but it can be managed. Once you see it clearly, once you understand how it works, you stop being a passive victim. You start making intentional choices. You start protecting your money. And that's how the quiet drain stops turning into real-life damage. The invisible tax is real. It affects millions. It punishes the unprepared. But awareness, strategy, and small, consistent actions can break the cycle. And once that cycle is broken, financial progress, real progress, finally begins. All right, if this hit home for you, you already know the vibe. Hit like, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, tap that bell icon so you don't miss what's coming next.